Hey guys, follow along in this series as we're going to show you how to build a house from the permitting process to dirt work all the way through a move-in ready house. We're going to show you from the very start to the very end. Now is one of the worst times in history to buy a house. House prices are ridiculous right now, and you can save yourself a fortune, set your family up for generations to come if you're willing to put in the work. You can do as much work or as little as you want. You can build the whole thing yourself, or you could even just be the general contractor on the project. So if this seems like something that you're interested in, follow along in this series that we're going to take you through, just learning how to build a house. So like and subscribe. All right, so the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to hire, well, after your prints, after your building permits, you're going to hire someone to come out and do your dirt work. We generally hire a surveyor that's going to come out and they're going to stake the foundation for us, so there's no guesswork involved. And then after that, your dirt work guy is going to come in and he's going to dig for your foundation. A foundation consists of predominantly two different pieces: your footing and your foundation wall. Your footing is ultimately dictated by the type of soil that you're digging on. If the soil is real sandy, or if it's certain types of clay, that is what's going to dictate the type of footing that you need to put in, or the size of the footing rather. In this area, we have a lot of 4B clay, and what that means is that most of the time we're able to put in a 16-inch wide by 8-inch deep footing. The footing then wraps the entire perimeter of your house, and its sole purpose is to carry the entire weight of your house and then transfer the weight of that house into a wider footprint onto the ground below it. This keeps the house from settling over time, and if your foundation is done improperly, you can imagine what that leads to. It leads to cracked walls in your foundation wall, in your basement. It could allow water in. So this absolutely must get done correctly. This is directly receiving the loads from your foundation wall. Your foundation wall can be several different things. Most of the time in this area, we like to build basements. We're in Tornado Alley and people just feel safer with basements. So most of the time, if you're building an 8-foot basement, this will get poured to 8 feet. Sometimes it'll be a little shy of that, and then we have to build a knee wall going all the way around the house to get it to the appropriate height. But most of the time in this area, this is going to be an 8-foot pour. Other things that we have in this area, if you don't do a basement, there's a couple different things you can do. You can just do a short wall and then do a slab on grade, or you could do a short wall and have a crawl space. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. The purpose of the foundation wall is to directly receive the weight of the floor, walls, etc., all the way up to your roof line. Its sole purpose is to receive that weight and distribute that weight into the footing evenly. And then the footing then disperses the weight into the earth. If this were a basement, like I told you, it would be poured up to the height of the basement that you dictate. But then on the inside, what you're going to see is that there's actually a small lip right here. And this lip that is left over of the foundation, if this is a basement, they're going to fill that void, that space below the footing, all the way up to the top of the footing. And then at that point, they're going to compress that gravel all the way around, and then they're going to pour your slab on top of that little lip of your footing. That little lip helps to carry the load of the slab, but it also ties it into the house. And of course, this is after your rough-in plumbing has already gone in. If this is going to be a slab on grade, there's really two different types that we do. They can do what's called a monolithic pour, whereas they pour all of this all at once. We don't really like that because it causes a lot of problems, so I'm not going to really talk on that a whole lot. In this area, most of the time, we're going to pour our footing on one day. We're going to come back in a couple days, and we're going to end up building our short wall and pouring that. A short wall, the height of your wall is dictated by the terrain that you're building on. Obviously, you don't want your house to be too low because then you're susceptible to water and moisture coming into your house. So the biggest mistake that I see people making is that they build their house too low to the ground. So this will get built up, again, dictated by the terrain that you're building on. So if this was just a short wall, what would end up happening is we would fill this to where it's within 4 inches of the top with gravel. And then at that point, what's going to happen is we're going to come in and we're going to compact it. Rough-in plumbing will already be in. And then it's going to have a 4-inch slab that is poured all the way around the interior perimeter of this short wall. Then at that point, you're ready to start building. The only thing that I haven't really talked about, and we're not going to touch on it in this video, if there's other piers or other load-bearing posts that are going to be inside your house, those will be dictated by your prints that have been, looked over by engineers, etc. So the purpose of the sill tape right here, this is simply to stop air infiltration, moisture, etc. And it's also to put another little barrier between what's called your mud sill, which we'll talk about here in a second, and the foundation. It's not good for concrete to be in direct contact with wood for long periods of time because water will eventually start to rot the wood out. So this gives a nice little protective barrier, this sill tape right here, to what's called your mud sill. That's its sole purpose: air infiltration, water barrier, and then a division between the concrete and your mud sill. Your mud sill is the first board that's going to go down that wraps the entire perimeter of your house, just kind of how we have these laid out. And I have multiple boards here just to kind of show you what it looks like. Obviously, this is not a full-size house, so we kind of made one a little bit smaller. But there are, the IRC, the International Residential Code, does dictate how often these have to be anchored. Most of the time, whenever your short wall gets poured or your basement wall gets poured, your foundation company, unless you tell them otherwise, they're going to install what's called a J-bolt. And I don't have any on me right now, but it looks just like this, but it has another little leg coming over like this. And so they're going to pour that entire basement, and then they're going to come along and they're going to wet set these bolts. And these bolts will then, when you go to set your mud sill, you'll end up imprinting this, drilling through your mud sill, and then pushing this mud sill so that this anchor bolt comes sticking out of the top of the mud sill. It then gets bolted, and then that way your mud sill is permanently fixed to your foundation wall. And over time, then you're not worried about this mud sill shifting over time. Because what's going to end up getting built on top of this is your first floor, okay? So your band board will end up wrapping this perimeter, and then your joist will all get tied into that. So just a quick recap: if this structure was fully built, the roof, the walls, the floors, etc., they're all going to get set on top of this wood here, which is anchored into your foundation. And then that foundation is going to receive the weight of the entire house, and it's going to disperse it down into this footing, and then the footing will then disperse it out into the earth here. Hey guys, I hope you learned something today. This video is simply something that we feel pretty passionate about. It's a really hard time in America right now to afford a house, but you can build one. And if you want to set your family up for generations to come, then build your own house. And you can have whatever hand in that you want, from being a GC to framing it. You could pour the foundation. You could do absolutely everything yourself. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't, because you can save a ton of money if you were to do it this way. John and I, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to show you how to build a house from start to scratch. We're about to start 2 new houses, and when we start those 2 new houses, we'll walk you through it every step of the way, how we build it. We even got multiple types of houses going up, some stick frame, some concrete houses. And we're going to show you a couple different options. And then we're going to tell you, like, hey, this is a beginner level. This is something that you could absolutely do day one with very little training. Or hey, this is a little bit more advanced. You might want somebody, a friend or somebody who's in the trades, that can come out and just check on you and make sure that you're doing things right. But don't be afraid to tackle these things, because at one point in time, everyone built their own houses. But nowadays, codes and regulations, they have everyone afraid to do things. But guess what? If I can do it, I promise you can do it. So follow along in this series as we walk you through how to build your own house. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. We'd love to help you out. That's our sole purpose with this channel. So if you like this video, if you learned anything, let us know. And please like and subscribe. Have a great day.